no amount of coffee fixed my burnout. In fact, things only got worse. Even with my nutrition background, my hormones and energy were a mess until I uncovered the real root causes. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 surprising lessons that help me finally recover and will save you years of struggle. Lesson number 1, burnout is physiological, not just mental. I kept telling myself to manage stress better. Journal more, meditate longer, maybe pray harder. And don't get me wrong, these things helped me mentally for a little while. But no matter how consistent I was still dragging myself through the day, waking up exhausted and wondering what was wrong with me. I thought maybe I just wasn't disciplined enough, or maybe I wasn't tough enough to handle life. And I hear this from women all the time. They're doing the morning routines, the gratitude list, the breathing apps, and yet their body still feels like it's betraying them. Can you relate to that? The truth, burnout isn't just in your head. It's not about being weak-willed or needing a better mindset. Burnout is physiological. It's a full body shutdown that starts in your brain and trickles down into your hormones, your metabolism, and even your immune system. Here's what actually happens. When stress is unrelenting, your HPA axis, that's the communication line between your brain and your adrenal glands, gets dysregulated. Your cortisol rhythm goes haywire. And when cortisol is off, it doesn't stop there. Estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, they all take a hit. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that chronic stress changes the way that your body regulates cortisol and other hormones. It literally rewires your biology. That's why you could be eating clean, working out, and meditating every day and still feel like you've been hit by a truck when you wake up. So when you've been blaming yourself, thinking that you're just not trying hard enough, it's not you. It's your physiology saying, hey, we can't keep running this way. Now imagine if you stopped seeing burnout as a mindset problem and started treating it as the biological problem that it really is. Imagine waking up and realizing your body was finally working with you instead of against you. That's when recovery becomes possible. And once I realized that, I had to face another truth that stung a little. All the little quick fixes that I leaned on to get me through, they weren't helping. They were actually making me worse. That's the next lesson that I learned. Lesson number 2, quick fixes backfire. When I was deep in burnout, my go-to solution was simple: more coffee. If 1 cup didn't cut, maybe 2 or 3 would keep me upright. And when that didn't work, I'd grab whatever supplement promised energy support on the label. Maybe you've done the same. A new powder, a pill, a vitamin that your friend swears by. And sure, for a few hours, I'd feel like maybe it was working. My brain would wake up a little, I'd push through the next coaching session, maybe get the kids' homework done without snapping. But by the next day, the crash was even worse. I was stuck in a cycle of fake energy followed by deeper exhaustion. Here's the problem. Those quick fixes are band-aids on a bullet wound. Coffee, for example, doesn't create real energy. It just hijacks your adenosine receptors so your brain feels alert. But underneath, your body is still exhausted. The more caffeine you add, the more you borrow against tomorrow's energy. Same goes with random supplements. Without knowing which nutrients you're actually deficient in, you're just throwing darts in the dark. In fact, the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism shows that chronic stress depletes key nutrients like magnesium and B vitamins, but taking the wrong forms or taking them without fixing your cortisol rhythm, it won't solve the root issue. So while these fixes might buy you a few hours of fake focus, they dig you deeper into the problem. They trick you into thinking you're doing something while your body is still screaming for real restoration. The truth is, those things don't give you real energy. They just trick your body for a little while. Real recovery only happens when you deal with a root cause, your cortisol rhythm, your hormones, and your nutrient stores. That's when you start to wake up with steady energy that you can actually count on instead of just riding the caffeine roller coaster. Which brings me to lesson number 3. Hormones run the show. I thought if I just doubled down on my keto way of eating and pushed harder in the gym, I'd finally get my energy back. So I cut more carbs, fasted, and doubled down on the HIIT workouts. If a little discipline was good, I figured that more discipline would fix it. But my body didn't get the memo. The harder that I pushed, the worse I felt. My energy tanked, the weight wouldn't budge, and my sleep was a mess. And maybe you've been there too, trying to do all the right things only to wonder why it seems to backfire. Here's the reality. When chronic stress hijacks your cortisol, everything downstream takes a hit. Cortisol is like the lead domino. Once it falls, estrogen, progesterone, and thyroid, they all get pulled down with it. That's why you could be eating clean, exercising, even sleeping more, and still feel like trash. Your body is basically saying, cool, thanks for the kale, but until you fix cortisol, we're not turning the lights back on. And this isn't just my opinion. Research in the Journal of Women's Health shows that women under chronic stress have significantly higher rates of irregular cycles, sleep problems, and weight gain, all tied to disrupted cortisol rhythms. So if your hormones are out of whack, you're not just tired, you're in survival mode. And survival mode doesn't care about your fasting schedule or your spin class. This is why women stay stuck, no matter how hard they work. It's not willpower, it's not discipline, it's hormones. And until you address that, nothing else sticks. But once you do bring your hormones back into balance, everything changes. Your energy starts to come back, weight starts to move, sleep finally feels restorative again. You stop fighting your body and start working with it. And if you're ambitious, this one matters even more because women like us, we're burnt out differently. That's lesson number 4. Lesson number 4, high achievers burn out differently. I used to believe that my ambition was my safety net. Like if I just pushed harder, organized better, or hustled longer, I could outrun burnout. That's the lie that most high achieving women believe. The discipline and drive will get them through anything. But here's what really happened. The harder I pushed, the worse my body rebelled. My energy flatlined, my brain felt foggy, and anxiety showed up in ways that I couldn't even control. And the irony, the very thing that made me successful, my ability to keep going when everyone else quit, was the exact thing that drove me deeper into burnout. Here's why. High achieving women don't burn out because they're weak. They burn out because they're strong. And that strength gets misapplied. When your body is begging for rest, but your brain is screaming, work harder, you end up digging yourself into a hole that's nearly impossible to climb out of. There's research to back this up. Studies published in Frontiers of Psychology show that women in leadership and high responsibility roles are far more likely to ignore early warning signs of stress, which accelerate the physical breakdown of burnout. You don't just get tired, you hit full system overwhelm faster. So if you ever wondered why you feel more wrecked than the people around you, it's not because you can't handle it. It's because you've been using your strength in the wrong way. When you start honoring your body's signals instead of bulldozing past them, everything shifts. You stop equating rest with weakness and you start seeing it as a strategy. Your energy stabilizes, your focus sharpens, and your capacity to lead actually grows. This one was hard for me to swallow because it meant redefining what strength actually looks like. But the payoff? Real energy, real presence, and sustainable success. Which brings me to lesson number 5. The one that ties everything together. Recovery has to be holistic and sequenced, not random. Lesson number 5. Recovery must be holistic and sequenced. For years, I tried to piece my recovery together like a DIY project. A supplement here, a new workout there, another diet when that one failed. It was random and honestly, it was exhausting. Every time something didn't work, I thought it was me that wasn't disciplined enough or that I just haven't found the magic fix yet. But what I didn't realize back then was this. It wasn't me. It was the fact that I was throwing tools at my body in the wrong order. And if you ever felt like that you've tried everything but nothing actually works, this is why. Recovery isn't about doing all the things. It's about doing the right things in the right order. That's why I created what I now call the CARE method. It finally clicked that healing burnout isn't random. It has to be sequenced. First, you calm your cortisol with the right nutrition rhythm using carb cycling. Then you align with your natural circadian and infradian rhythms so your body actually knows when to be energized and when to rest. Next, you restore the nutrients that your body has been drained of for years. And finally, you ease. You complete the stress cycle so your body isn't stuck holding on to stress that it never released. Studies in the Journal of Applied Physiology and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition show that when nutrition, circadian alignment, and stress recovery techniques are used together, results are dramatically better than when each is done alone. In other words, sequencing matters. So if you've been spinning your wheels, it's because you've been trying to build a house without laying the foundation. When you follow a holistic process in the right order, everything finally clicks. Now, although all of these lessons are incredibly powerful, if you don't know how to stabilize your cortisol, none of them are going to work. So watch this video next where I'll show you surprising ways to lower cortisol so you can finally get out of burnout for good.